What's a NSFW fun fact? An elephant's D is prehensile just like their trunks. This is because they are too big to thrust, so the D does the thrusting on its own. Elephants evolved testicles that remain inside their body due to their size and height, where testicles that hang would have been easy targets for predators to grab a quick snack. Men who climb Mt. Everest tend to get boners during the climb due to how the extreme elevation impacts blood pressure and circulation. Bonobo apes and hedgehogs are the only animals together with humans that look at each other when doing the naughty. The G-spot was nearly called the Whipple tickle after Professor Beverly Whipple, who coined the expression that we know today. The way that clams reproduce, the male basically shoots semen in the general direction of the female, and the female uses a vacuum tube to suck all the good stuff out of the water around her. If a jellyfish is killed, it will release all of its sexual content. Thus, if you killed 2 jellyfish, you could possibly cause the birth of over 100 to replace them. It's essentially the same as a human dying and, if male, ejaculating so hard that every drop of semen is violently expelled from them. If female, launching eggs from their V. Which is disturbing to think of, but you get what I mean. I only know this cause there was a documented case of it. They tried to kill a swarm of jellyfish. I can't recall where, with a metal net dragged through the water. However, after killing about 200 of them, they later were cursed with the 3,000 or so strong offspring of those they killed. Ostriches have been known to put on mating dances for humans they find attractive and seek to copulate with, even so far as refusing other ostrich mates literally right next to them. Essentially, ostriches are reverse furries. Same thing with dolphins. 2. Your anus can stretch far enough a raccoon can fit inside. Most mammals, regardless of size, take approximately the same amount of time, on average, to empty their bladders. About 20 seconds. Standing on a swivel chair while putting up a sign or light bulb is one of most common workplace accidents. Romania has searched for more Scooby-Doo porn than any other country. Male and female ducks are locked in a perpetual sex war against each other. Male ducks are aggressive and will breed forcefully. They are even known to commit necrophilia. Their DEs grow according to how many competing males there are in their environment during mating season, and then fall off after the season. Some ducks also have barbs on their DEs to scrub away rival D sperm from females. Female ducks' V's are designed in a counter-corkscrew fashion to combat the male duck's explosive corkscrew D. Females also have up to 8 false cavities to mislead an unwanted penetration. Ducks are degenerates. Female pigs orgasm for up to 30 minutes. There is a species of penguins, Adelie penguins, that build nests out of pebbles. The males will bring pebbles to the females and essentially propose to them. If the female accepts, they will continue the nest building and be mates. Sometimes, the female is lazy and doesn't want to work. In this case, the female will attract a male, get his pebble, mate with him, then attract another male, trading sex for nest materials. Essentially, some female penguins prostitute themselves for nesting materials. Edit to add species. Sex as in sex that is done responsibly can help your immune system. A boar can ejaculate up to 500 milliliters of semen. That's almost 17 fluid ounces. There are bugs and other invertebrates, notably the bed bug, that have evolved such that the only way to reproduce is for the dude bug to stab the ladybug in her abdomen with his D. Male giraffes will headbutt a female in the bladder until she urinates. Then it tastes the pee to help it determine whether or not the female is ovulating. There is roughly 37.5 MB of data in a single sperm, which means that the average male ejaculates 1,500 terabytes of data. Barnacles can have DEs up to 50 times their body length, the largest D to size ratio on any animal. Only 1/3 of a woman's V is sensitive to touch, while the other 2/3s of the V is pressure sensitive. The females of anglerfish carry multiple testicles attached to them. Let me explain this. So, the biggest fish shown in the photo is a female. Males of anglerfish are much smaller, about 100 times or so. The moment they are born, their sole purpose of life is to find a female. They don't eat, They don't socialize. They just wander around until they find a female. When they do, they bite into the sides of the female and attach them to the female for good. From that point on, they get nutrition from the female, and in turn they provide her with sperm which she uses to reproduce. A single female can have multiple such males attached to her at any given time. Over time, the attached males start to deteriorate. They lose features that even identify them as fish, and eventually end up essentially as testicles attached to the females. When flatworms mate, two males square off and the one that stabs the other with their D stays a male and the other turns into a female. Tarantulas reproduce by the male basically nutting on his hands and punching the female directly in the vagoo. Male chickens sometimes abuse to assert dominance instead of fighting. The thin little seam on a man's nuts is there because it's literally fused together. In women that seam becomes the opening to the V. In fact, D's and V's are actually sort of the same but rearranged during development. The clitoris grows to become the head of the D. The labia fuse together to form the scrotum. The nuts are sorta like ovaries on the outside. Seriously, if you have a long-term, opposite-sex partner, or a really open friendship, who's down for this, take out your scrot lips and touch it to their scrot lips. They feel exactly the same. I believe this is also why men have nipples. Because a fetus starts developing, the female plan then either switches to male or doesn't. I'm sure there are more similarities that I'm not aware of. The longer an employee is out of work as a result of an illness or injury, the less likely they are to return to work. Studies suggest that when an employee is out of work for more than 6 months, they have less than a 50% chance of ever returning to work in any capacity. The German for contraceptive is Schwangerschaftsverhütungsmittel. By the time you've finished saying it, it's too late. There are and will always be more female boobs than women on earth. Exhibitionism is when you enjoy showing yourself. Voyeurism is when you enjoy watching others. They're not interchangeable. A man named Horst Schultz holds the world record of farthest cum shot at 18 feet 9 inches and also holds the record for highest at 12 feet 4 inches. Edit. Since someone asked, here is a source. After locking and tagging out a machine, you should always try to start it again. Otherwise you can inadvertently start the machine while inside of it and be crushed to death. After a lot of questions, here's a more detailed explanation. My reply to this thread was a joke on NSFW since not performing lockout tag out is actually not safe for working. Use hydrogen peroxide to clean up bloodstains. Your testicles develop inside your body when you're a fetus. Then a wall of muscle between your abdomen and your scrotum opens up to let them drop through before closing again. If it doesn't close properly, you can give birth to a baby with a horrendously distended scrotum filled with their entire intestines. The human anus max diameter is a comfortable 3 inches roughly, but we all know it can go further than that. Every 7 seconds, a worker is injured on the job. Air quote. Over 30% of these are caused by overexertion. Stay safe, people. If you come in a woman's mouth, she won't get pregnant. Doggy style and reverse cowgirl are the same position in space. Fresh blood is an extremely effective lubricant. You should wash sperm and other proteins, eggs for instance, with cold water at first because hot water will basically cook it. In the UK, Gropicant Lane was a common street name for red light districts a few centuries ago. Most have been renamed things like Grape Lane. There's a wiki page on this. It's the tightness of the pallet wrap that holds a loaded pallet together, not the amount you use. So you can attach a co-worker to one with only 2 wraps around their midsection. During cremation, the human body reaches a point where it is perfectly cooked. Never use an angle grinder to cut aluminum, because its low melting point will gum up the blade and potentially crack and fly out so fast eye protection won't matter. Makes for a very not safe for work environment. If a pregnant person passes away and is not discovered in time before putrefaction, the fetus can be expelled because of the pressure of the gases built up in the mother's body. This is called coffin birth. The speed at which men first ejaculate sperm averages something like 25-28 mph. I was at a party once and was chatting with a girl who was studying to become a teacher. Specificalisic said, this was a few years back, and the whole abstinence-only education thing was becoming more and more prevalent in the more conservative Republican states in the US. So I found this fascinating and talked with her for a little while about her studies and plans. Naturally, I asked her if she had any fun facts she'd come across thus far. I love random fun facts. She shared this one with me and haven't seen it here yet, so here we are. Edited for content clarity. But yay, the context is relevant and fact checks out. In parts of Arizona and New Mexico there is a type of lizard called the whiptail lizard. They have evolved to where they don't need males anymore. They can lay their own eggs, but get this. They have to be stimulated by another female to get the eggs produced. You know what they say, sun's out, tongue's out. According to OSHA, the most violated standard the past year was a dead heat between fall protection and scaffolding requirements. Men aren't the only ones that get longer when they're aroused. The female's veal canal lengthens when she grows aroused, letting her accommodate something big. Edit. So I like to read everything anybody has posted, and I came across a comment that got 5 awards and just bleh. The muscle that covers the testis is called the cremaster. There's a little marsupial in Oceania that, once it turns a year old, starts mating with females for a week or so. The mating can last up to 12 hours per female. The male will only stop having sex when it starts dying from internal bleeding. It's basically death by snoo. Electrical stimulation of a particular nerve group in the lower back can induce ejaculation. The effect is involuntary and works in people with paralysis and even sufficiently fresh cadavers. Edit. Well, heck, this blew up. Thanks for the shiny silver. Generous stranger. Credit for this fact goes to Mary Roach's fine non-fiction book Bonk. Highly recommend. Some animals have a real bone in their D. It's called a baculum. Pineapple makes male ejaculate taste better. Pantherophobia is the fear of your mother-in-law. If you get someone to lightly poke your inner thigh, your testicles will ascend due to the cremasteric reflex. And wolves have a sex, they then get stuck together for up to a half hour afterwards. It's very funny to watch when a wolf from a pack and a lone wolf have a sex and get caught because they'll try running away while stuck together. Edit. For everyone asking why I know this, I just like watching animal documentaries. I don't even own a dog. Testicles have an idle animation. Edit. Dear God, why did I get gold for such a cursed comment? Thank you though. The inside of the male urethra is rifled, like a gun barrel, which allows the pee to come out straight instead of in a spray. Edit. Guys, I'm not sure I want this to be my most upvoted comment. Male echidnas have 4 heads on their D. Edit. Also, female echidna have 2 V's. When you're sexually aroused, the parts of your brain that regulate feelings of visceral disgust work at minimal capacity, meaning that you're not as easily grossed out. Human males have the largest Ds compared to all of the other living primates. The biggest gorilla D, for example, is on average 3 inches. Horses can bust a nut on command. Also, male dolphins are gang rapists, and otters are interspecies pedophile necrophiliacs. The average blue whale D is 6 feet. Men tend to get boners early in the morning, so as the sun rotates the earth there is a synchronized wave of morning boners circling the earth at all times. There are 2 types of D implants when people suffer of erectile dysfunction. One is a permanent stiff implant, and when you don't want to use it, just save it moving it down. The other is an inflatable option, so when the patient wants to use it he has to inflate it by pressing an air pump which is placed in the scrotum. So it seems that you press your balls to inflate your D. Female kangaroos have 3 V's while males have 2 D's. Not sure how that works. Why did everything turn into animal ejaculation facts?